So, nearly 6 years after the 4th of July shooting at Coeur d'Alene's annual fireworks display at Independence Point, the teen who was shot by police after his gun fired during a standoff with officers was sentenced to 10 years in prison. All right. So, one, with how insane the Idaho 4 case is, I feel like in order for us to prove or have data backing some of the claims or theories that are out there around police corruption and a repetitive behavior over and over and over and over and over, we have to be able to look into some of these cases. I feel like we've been covering a lot of Idaho lately, but Idaho has insane cases. It is very scary. And so many of our viewers that are not from Idaho look at these cases and think, I never, ever want to go to Idaho. I will go around the state. I will drive further to not have to go through Idaho. That's terrifying.
I feel you, man.
And we know they can do things the right way. We saw that what's her name? Crazy lady.
Lori Vallow.
Yeah, Lori Vallow Daybell case, right? And that was handled so great. Everything was done by the book and still kept under wraps, but done in a way where the public felt supported and a part of that case, like they should have. It was good, right? Well, here we have an officer involved that was part of the Idaho 4 investigation. We have an officer involved that was part of the Dr. Moore investigation. Now, what officer do you think we're talking about? ISP officer Gary Tolson.
Of course.
Yeah, this guy gets around.
I find it interesting. Fred Rice was a part of the Jonathan Ellington case, who was also an Idaho State police officer.
Yeah.
Who lied on the stand. We just talked about this, though.
Is ISP the new Baltimore?
Right.
Because that's how I'm feeling when I'm looking at these cases.
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling when I look at the behaviors of the body cam footage pre-Idaho 4 massacre.
Well, let me just say this. Think about it. You have a bunch of these small towns in Idaho who, when they get a case as big as Dr. Moore, Dr. Drake, and the Idaho 4, one that is like, they don't typically have murders. They don't typically have these, like, you know, really bad crimes. Just a lot of missing people, or, you know, drug charges. But when they get a case like that, they call up the Idaho State Police, please help us, because we're just a little town department and we haven't had to deal with something like this before. Then Baltimore comes in, the Idaho State Police, corrupt, and are like, sure, we can help you. Like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like that's where I'm seeing corruption in all of the cases we've talked about so far is Idaho State Police. Yep. What's going on there?
I agree. I think that the Department of Justice needs to send human rights advocates out there to start digging. That's what I think, for real.
Yeah.
I want to submit a request. I wonder if I can. That might be something I can look into. Anyways, going back to our case here. Who am I talking about here? Who was shot on, what was it? July 4th, 2019. July 4th, 2019. His name is Tyler Rambo. All right. So, who is Tyler Rambo? At this time, he 19 then. So he was 17 at the time. Was there in Independence Park, I believe. Independence Park, right? Celebrating at City Park in Coeur d'Alene. First for Independence Day, just to watch the fireworks at Independence Point, right? Where you can see a bunch of fireworks and everything. There were a whole bunch of people there. Now, setting the stage just a little bit earlier here, we have Tyler Rambo, who, by all accounts, I got to be honest with you, he seemed like he was getting into some trouble. Okay, I was that kid, so that doesn't mean that he's not going to grow up to be a normal, productive human being. But he was a troublemaker. It sounds like from everything I've seen, he had a warrant left open for his arrest. And he was getting in altercations. He had an altercation with these people, which I'm not going to go into the name of who these kids are. They were children at the time. They were under 18, but he was beefing with these other people. Now, before the 4th of July, he had been jumped, beat up by these guys, and he was worried that it was going to happen again. Apparently, there was a hospital trip, or he was beat up pretty badly, and so he didn't want that to happen again and decided to carry a gun with him, a .357 Magnum, and went to the Independence Day park. So at the park, everything seems to be normal. There were a whole bunch of people there just hanging out. Well, like Tyler was worried about, like Tyler Rambo was worried about, these people were at the park, all right? And they approached him and started messing with him, and started to attack him, all right? He pulls the gun out and shoots one in the air. That's where the first contradiction starts right there, because police say he pointed it at the guy and tried to shoot him. And then while trying to get up, he pointed it at the guy's girlfriend's head. According to Tyler Rambo, he shot in the air to get them away from him, got up and started running. He started running. There's no question there. He started running away, and police approach him. Police are already there watching the area, and they start shouting commands at him. And initial reports say that he lowered the gun to shoot at the police. However, what ends up happening as body cam comes out is he's angry. He's really hype. And we'll watch the video. I'll post it on here for you guys to see. You can see the adrenaline and everything going on in him, you know, younger kids throwing their hands up, things like that. And they're shouting commands at him. And he takes off his sweatshirt and puts his sweatshirt down. He still has the gun in his hand. And the cops are like, get down, get down, get down. And he has his hands up like this with his back to the police, turns around. The second he turns around, it looks like he's going to get down on his stomach, like lean down like this. And when they tell him to get down and drop the gun, another officer simultaneously shoots a taser at him while holding the gun.
Oh my gosh. And he's already trying to
And
lay
he's
down?
going to go down, hits with the tasers, tenses up. A bullet goes off. They say, okay, we'll get into that. They say that he aims and tries to shoot at police.
How about not hit him with a taser when he's trying to lay down and he's got a gun in his hand?
He's falling because he's being tased. Okay. He's out. KO'd. Those tasers knock you out. They make you, lose control of your bowels even. That's how strong they're.
Well, not everyone. Some people can still run and
police
do stuff.
Drop 14 bullets into him as he's falling.
And being tased?
And being tased. Yeah. He gets rushed to the emergency room. He loses his legs at the hip and is forever in a wheelchair.
At the hip?
At the hip. And forever in a wheelchair. and gets sent to court with a whole boatload of charges, attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and then 3 charges of assault on a police officer because they say he intentionally shot at them. So these 5 charges, all right? Attempted murder, that's a big one. And he loses his legs. Goes to court. He gets the attempted murder and assault charge dropped, found not guilty. They charge him with or convict him on the 3 assault on a peace officer. He gets 10 years.
Okay.
10 years for never attempting to assault a police officer, but getting tased while shouting contradicting commands, and a gun is in his hand with his hands up. They say he fired 2 shots, one in the air to get away from the kids, and then one at the police officers. What's interesting is a slip happens, and a slip happens with Tolson. Apparently, Tolson shows up later, okay? A statement is said that, if you guys don't know, a revolver doesn't spit shell casings. They stay in the gun. So you don't have to worry about shell casings dropping or anything like that. The 357 has 4 bullets in it and 1 spent shell. 1, not 2. 1.
Oh.
So did he even fire a gun at police? Or did he never fire the gun initially? It's never talked about again in anything I can
So
find.
did the girlfriend or anybody from that group of kids ever get shot?
Nobody got shot except him. And he got charged with 10 years. Crazy, crazy, crazy situation.
Yeah. Did he shoot in the air or did he shoot while he was getting tased?
But police are saying it's both. Police are saying it's both, okay? And this reminds me identical, you guys, to Baltimore. We're being told he shot twice, but we only have 1 shell casing. They claim they can't. Oh, no. They did say they found another shell casing. They found another shell casing. But the thing is, with a revolver, you don't dump out 1 shell casing. You dump all. They all come out. So like you wouldn't shoot once and then dump and reload. Like that's just not going to happen. So the fact that the other shell casing is found somewhere, just somewhere out on the field is doubtful. Doubtful. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. The mom comes out and says that he was wrongly attacked. That because he is a black kid in a town full of white cops, they saw a black guy with a gun and shot.
Yeah.
And they charged him with, I don't think he should have been charged with anything. And I do know that he has a lawsuit open. And this is another case that, you guys, this case would have fit perfectly in that Baltimore show, We Own the City. Like fit perfectly. We just talked about the Baltimore PD and how, you know, they made a mistake and killed somebody or hurt somebody, and they had another cop come and drop a gun. Well, in this case, I don't know if you guys watching are getting like how impossible this is. With a revolver, that casing is not going to come out. So the fact that they found another casing somewhere tells me that somebody came and collected the gun like they should have right at the scene, okay? Then realized, oh, 2 shots weren't made. We need to fix this. We need to find another casing. We need to find another casing.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's a 6-round gun, because the only other option is to take a bullet and pull the bullet out. It's the only other possibility. Make it look like it's shot. I don't know. You'd have to hit the pin. Depends on how well you control this evidence. But so as I'm doing research, I'm looking at documents in chronological order, okay? The first documents I find say that police made a comment and said that this guy shot at the guy who was trying to jump him, and then grabbed the girlfriend and held it to her head, and then shot at police. They don't mention the taser. They don't mention nothing. Then as other reports come out, the mother starts talking. And you guys, I tried to reach out to the mom too, and I'm still waiting. I just reached out to her today, so it's not like there's been a lot of time. But I would love to know her side of this story, because she doesn't, based on everything I'm seeing, statements she's made, she feels like something fishy was going on here. And we're going to watch the body cam footage. In my opinion, they shot him right after they tased him. That is insane. And to me, that proves a major gap in training and experience. Why does one officer have a taser out and all these other officers have live round guns out?
Right.
Why are these being used together? They claim that he wasn't listening to commands and threatening police. I see him listening. I see an elevated, adrenaline-filled young kid that is starting to listen to commands.
That's really sad.
It is so sad, dude. He was 17. Hands up. Boom. He's falling backwards, dude, which is why, look, if you guys just saw this, he gets tased and is falling backwards. Do you understand why he lost his legs now and all the shots went in the legs? Does this feel like an okay shooting? No way. This is Idaho again with Tolson.
And we have the Spirit Lake shooting.
Not Baltimore PD like it sure feels like. Look, backwards. His arms jolt down because he's being electrocuted. So this is my big concern here, okay? One, I don't feel like this is a question. This is a wrong shooting. There's nothing okay here. In my opinion, he's falling backwards, okay? And even if that gun did go off, which I don't think it did, we literally saw it. He was already falling. I can see that he's falling. So why you would load him up with bullets, I don't know. I'm not sure. Was another cop not paying attention that he was tased, and when he fell, his arms were up like he was going to shoot? I don't know, because instead of being honest, they try and cover it up, and they didn't even show all the footage.
I think the reason that this happened is, yes, lack of experience, because I think what happened is they're yelling commands at him and he puts his hands up and they're expecting him to lay down with his back to them. And then he turns around and they're like, oh, I just cussed. And he turns around and they're like, oh, like,
I don't think so. He's turned around for at least a solid 3 seconds.
I think him turning around is what alarmed them and thought that he might shoot at them.
His hands were up when he turned around.
I know.
I don't think so. I think you have an over-aggressive police force who sees us versus them, and it doesn't matter what he would have done. They were pulling triggers. I truly think that. I think when you have corruption that runs deep, there's nothing that's going to change it like Baltimore PD. So the in-depth research into Baltimore PD truly has changed my view into police corruption. And when you have one officer, I will have a very hard time not believing there's another. because of that.
I know.
Because of what I've seen.
Me too.
In that documentary. Because officers are so up on charges and cases, and they know what's going on. Officers know which ones are more likely dirty and which ones aren't. They talk, they gossip like little girls in elementary school, you know what I mean? They know who's who. They know what's what. They know all of that. And they still stick up for each other. They still will not come forward and say, hey, Lieutenant, I need to share with you what I'm hearing on the street. It's making me nervous as a police officer in this police department that this is not looked into. You know, I work really hard to be an advocate for the community and keep my community safe. And I don't want it tarnished by somebody out there that's being greedy or thinks they have too much power.
Yeah. I'm curious why, like, the chief of police's, like, anybody who's head over all these deputies and detectives and all that, why there isn't more accountability in these situations. Does the corruption of that officer implicate the boss? And that's why? So they all end up just being corrupt at the end of the day?
I mean, that's a really great question. And one thing,
because that's how it works a lot of times in corporate America. The boss gets in trouble for, you know, the employee.
Like, what's wrong with you? And it can hold you back from promotions. Even though you won't be like written up, you will be looked at different. Yes, absolutely. But that's another reason why I feel like body cam 24/7, as long as you're clocked in, as long as you're wearing a badge and have the authority of a badge, I think you need to be on body cam 100% of the time, even when you're in the police department, in my opinion. I think that needs to happen, and it needs to be a number one goal. Like, that needs to be step one.
Our priority.
And priority one. Absolutely, I do. Now, get this, okay? Where does Tolson come into play here? And why I keep highlighting they didn't show it to the jury is that feels like institutional corruption, because why did they not show the gun being shot? I don't think it was shot. I don't think he shot right there. I don't. I think he shot in the air to get away from those people. The encounter with the cops happened, and he never shot.
So when you get tased, I'm curious, do your hands typically go like this, or do they go like this?
Nope, you curl. All muscles tighten.
So wouldn't it make sense for him to shoot there?
It would. It would make sense. It would. But that body cam's far enough away that it wouldn't be gruesome. There's a reason they're not showing the rest of that body cam. What we saw there is all that they showed the jury. That's super unfair. That's not right. A flawed, messed up trial, in my opinion.
Juries see super gruesome stuff in a lot of cases. They could have shown that to the jury. That's ridiculous.
I agree.
There's no excuse for it.
I agree with you, except for a total cover up. Now get this, okay? Where does Tolson come into play? To me, Tolson almost feels like the fixer guy or something, dude, based off what I see his hands in. Because Coeur d'Alene, the state rested its case on Thursday against the teen who lost both legs after being shot by police. Tyler Rambo, 19, is accused of second-degree attempted murder and aggravated assault. The charges stem from the July 4th, 2019 celebration at City Park in Coeur d'Alene, when police said Rambo, who was 18 at the time, I'm sorry, I've been saying he's 17, who was 18 at the time, shot at another man during an altercation. One, he didn't shoot another man. He shot in the air because he was being jumped, defensive. Rambo then ran from police, who said he fired at them. He fired at them after unsuccessfully being hit with a stun gun.
Unsuccessfully?
This is police statement.
Oh my god.
Do you see the progression? That's what I'm saying. There's something here, dude. And it reminds me of Idaho 4 evidence coming out. Why are we getting one story and we're seeing it evolve? Like, something is up, dude. The state called upon 2 witnesses Thursday to discuss the gun that went off in both shootings. The Idaho State Police Detective Gary Tolson said he recovered Rambo's revolver from inside a marked police vehicle near the basketball courts, where another officer had placed it after the shooting. Coeur d'Alene police officer Nathan Harbig testified Wednesday that he emptied Rambo's gun and dumped the bullets on the ground.
What?
Police don't do that.
That is not how you collect evidence or
cover-up.
handle evidence.
Dude, I don't think he shot. I think this is literally the Innocence Project case. Like, this should be leading the country for conspiracy type situation. I'm telling you, he didn't shoot.
I wonder how many cases in Idaho are like this.
This is Baltimore PD, you guys. Literally. You do not ever, when police have control of the gun, you do not ever try and take the ammo out. You're in control of the gun.
No, it's evidence.
Yeah, but the cop's in control of the gun. So the threat is null and void. It's gone.
Yeah.
There's no threat. So why? Why are you removing the casings? I think it's because there was never 2 shots. He never shot at them right there in that video. I don't think so. I do not believe it. Why else would you not show the entire footage to the jury? Why else would you claim you're emptying casings and Gary Tolson covering and saying, this is how I found the gun? This is how I found it.
So I'm curious if his finger wasn't on the trigger because he was surrendering. So when his hands curled, it didn't curl on the trigger. You know what I mean? From getting tased? Because I've been sitting here trying to think about it in my head. How did he get tased and not fire a shot with a gun in your hand? But then I'm thinking, well,
you don't
that
have your
doesn't
finger on the trigger.
That's what I'm saying. Well, probably his finger wasn't on the trigger because he was surrendering.
Yep. And so Harbig, that he emptied Rambo's gun and dumped the bullets on the ground, where he left them for some time while he helped secure the scene. So ridiculous, dude. Harbig said that he did not count, photograph, or document the bullets, but later returned and put them in an evidence bag, which Tolson took from the scene.
Oh.
This is a straight up setup. I'm telling you.
He just left them there?
And walked away. And came back and collected them. But you know what's interesting? Is Tolson claims he found the gun with bullets in them and 1 spent casing, with an extra floating around at the crime scene. Yeah. The bag contained 4 live rounds of ammunition and 1 spent casing, Tolson said. He said he also processed clothing that had been collected as evidence, including Rambo's jeans. Police found 13 rounds of ammunition in the right rear pocket, he said, and found a taser probe near the right front pants. Tolson described in court how a gun's trigger operates when pulled and demonstrated with Rambo's revolver. Why are police used as experts, dude? I don't get it. What is going on, Idaho? Tolson described in court how a gun trigger operates when pulled and demonstrated with Rambo's revolver. A single action revolver requires the hammer to be pulled back manually before the trigger is pulled. The trigger pull is short, less than a 1/16 of an inch in the case of Rambo's gun. Tolson estimated and requires less force than normal. A double action revolver has a trigger that both cocks the hammer and releases it in one pull. The pull is longer and requires more force than a single action trigger. Tolson said the revolver identified as Rambos can fire in single or double action. That's what he's claiming.
How does that
Brittany
work?
Wiley, a forensic scientist with Idaho State Forensic Services, says she performed tests to determine the amount of force required to pull the trigger back enough to squeeze off a round. In single action, Wiley said it takes 4 pounds of pressure to pull the trigger on Rambo's revolver. In double action, where the hammer is not cocked, it takes 10.5 pounds of pressure to fire the gun. If you had a gallon of milk on your finger, how much force would you have to use to lift it? Wiley said. Double action would require more force than that. A gallon of milk in a plastic jug weighs a little more than 8 pounds, she said. Additionally, Wiley said tests showed that 2 spent casings collected from the scene, one found on the ground and one found inside the cylinder. That's not possible. One found on the ground. So this is a magic casing because Tolson's claiming there was one spent casing, but then another one popped up. Right? It was not possible to determine whether the bullets were fired using single or double action, she said. Tolson said it's possible for guns to discharge when dropped, including revolvers, with the hammer pulled back. Defense attorney Rick Bogman directed Tolson to point the gun at the ceiling, put his finger on the trigger, and pull the hammer back with his thumb. Let go of your thumb, Bogman said. The gun clicked. Bogman told Tolson, if the gun would fire in that case, I believe if I held that trigger, it would, Tolson said. They're trying to make it seem like there was intent to fire when I don't think a shot came off.
They're trying to make it seem like you had to purposefully pull the trigger, not just by getting tased. Correct.
That's exactly what he's trying to suggest there. This is like a big heaping pile of doo-doo again. So one, when you get shocked, you are not conscious.
No.
To even pretend that this boy, not even fully grown
18,
it was conscious enough while having 2 pins in him, being shocked to the point where some people lose control of their bowels. He had enough control
he straight up
to make the decision to point at police and fire.
He straight up just fell backwards. Like as soon as he got hit
here.
Like he had no reaction time.
Dude.
So do you see that part when he turns around? Where his hands are up, he's turning around, and then he pulls this hand down that the gun's in. Do you not think that's him cocking it?
No. No way. Look, he's going to go down. Look at his knees buckling. Bam.
Oh, they're trying to say him doing this when his arm...
When both arms went down, one just has weight in it. You know, a 357's heavy. I don't know. I think the whole thing's shady. Whether he fired the gun, whether he didn't, everything is shady here.
Yeah.
Everything, the whole thing is super shady.
Yeah.
The whole thing. It's interesting that with a revolver, shells don't get spent. They don't get ejected from the gun. They stay in the gun.
So how many bullets fit in that revolver's?
I'll have to look. I didn't do that investigation, because I was more highlighted on the fact that we're seeing a repeated behavior here of very unclean cases. Like something's up here. Gary Tolson appears in this case as the fixer again. That is, in my opinion, very eye-opening to the Idaho 4 case, who seemingly had information come out of nowhere, like being plucked out of the air towards Bryan Kohberger, which again, what I'm saying doesn't imply his innocence or his guilt. What it implies is that there are major questions around the investigation.
Yeah.
Something is not right there. In the same way, something's not right here. Same exact way. Same way. You know what else is interesting? I looked at other footage. So there's another view of this. And it shows the dock. You see how they're on the water right there? Well, there's a dock right down the way. And police were also surrounding somebody else and arrested somebody else too. And I can't find details on that anywhere. I was hoping his mom would tell me more about that. And I can't find anything on it. But multiple police officers surrounding him as well. I don't know anything. But to me, it sounds like there's another story here. It sounds like something is up.
Weird.
Yep. Right. And he got assault on 3 police officers, was shot 14 times, lost his legs at the hip, forever in a wheelchair. If you lose them at the hip area all the way up here, you probably have a bag. What's that called? A coloscopy bag,
something.
And you're not going to be able to be fitted for fake legs or anything. Like, he is wheelchair bound the rest of his life. And here's 10 years on top of it when you never shot at police. You never, you know what I mean?
It's
yeah,
horrific.
This is a police brutality state, you guys. That's what I'm seeing here. This is corruption and brutality. And I'm not saying there's dirty cops. I do believe that we have enough evidence that a theory makes sense to claim a couple of them are dirty here in Idaho. But corruption doesn't have to mean dirty cop. It can mean a flawed training system, a flawed hiring process, a flawed background experience, recruiting, whatever. Like, it's flaws in the system that are causing unjust police situations. And we've seen we've talked about 2 or 3 tonight in Idaho, the same area. But I'm curious what you guys think about it. I don't know if it was eye-opening for you like it was for me. Do you want me to dig deeper and go further into this? Because I didn't so much dig into the very specific details. I was more interested in the horrible idea of the statements being untrue. To me, it sounds like these people are just straight up lying in court, but
yeah,
it makes me worried. Makes me worried for everyone in Idaho. But
I agree.
Let me know.
And corruption, it spreads. Yeah. It spreads.
In police,
it's like a virus.
Background, it spreads really quick. But let us know.